I think it's safe to come out from behind the sofa now. Thank God that is over with. Ipswich Town have just announced Kieran McKenna has signed a new deal with the club. He was contracted till 2027, now till 2028, but more pertinently, in fact, the only issue at play here, that puts to an end a horrible period of speculation linking the double promotion winning manager to, well, any number of clubs. We'll get into all of that. Why is this such a big deal? Well, I'm sure unless you've been living under a rock, you'll know the story. Ipswich languishing down in League One after years of failure. New owners had come in. Paul Cook had been removed. In comes an unknown Manchester United coach and takes Ipswich from 11th in League One to a second place promotion from the third tier into the Championship. And by God, he did it all over again. And another second place promotion. Ipswich Town are now a Premier League club. But the idea that the architect of the rise up from 11th in League One into the Premier League was going to immediately leave was a terrifying one for Ipswich Town fans. I've said on this channel for the longest time, a sharp rise in football is pretty much always followed by a sharp fall. Normally, your assets are picked off and that sharp fall is initiated immediately, let's just say. And make no bones about it, Ipswich Town's prized asset is Kieran McKenna. And yeah, I think a lot of people were projecting an absolute disaster were McKenna to have gone to one of the three jobs that he's been linked with over the past couple of weeks. So the season ended with Ipswich fans on cloud nine and the wider footballing world really drinking in the success of Ipswich coming from League One and splitting three of the best, not just Year One parachute teams, but the best Year One parachute teams the second tier has ever seen, with Southampton finishing fourth with 87 points, Leeds finishing third with 90, and Ipswich managing to end up in second place. A remarkable achievement from a remarkable manager, but no sooner had the Premier League season finished than Brighton parted company. I think they announced it before the final game, didn't they? Brighton parted company with Roberto De Zerbi, which then opened up the floodgates to a million links. And let's be honest, we can talk about links, we can talk about journalists posting stuff and sources and reputable sources. And, you know, the only fact we really know is that Brighton's job came up, Chelsea's job came up, Manchester United's job didn't come up yet, and Kieran McKenna has signed a new contract with Ipswich. Look, there's going to be people that know. I'm not one of them, and there's going to be many of us speculating, but we think it's been a whirlwind week in terms of discussions and agents, and the people at Brighton are going to know, the people at Chelsea are going to know. My understanding, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be one of these ITK people, is that McKenna has, quote, spoken to all three of Brighton, Chelsea and Manchester United, whether that be through representative or formal interview. That's my understanding. So those people who are going to say, oh, his agents have played a blinder here and they've got him a pay rise and he can still leave at the end of next season and that was what he was always going to do. Well, fair enough, you can say that. Unless I hear that come out of Kieran McKenna or his agent's mouth, then I'm not necessarily going to believe that narrative. I think the possibility of him leaving was very, very real. But Kieran McKenna is a very young, he's like 30, 38, I think. There are plenty of years, and this was a very, very big decision. And it looks like he's backed himself in respects of staying at Ipswich Town and doing at least a season, maybe more, maybe less, who knows? We don't know. But he's going to start the season in the Premier League with Ipswich Town. And is that best for his trajectory? Well, in the short term, he's decided that it is. Is that best for Ipswich Town? I think that would be a slam dunk home run. Everyone would agree that the manager that's plotted this course all the way up with these players, many of them, pretty much most of them, at times all of them, were with Ipswich in League One. And the idea that a new manager was going to come in and take League One players to face Pep, Arteta, who's a new guy at Liverpool, Slot, Ten Hag, De Zerbi at Chelsea. That's the middle part of this story. We'll get to that in a sec. But the idea that a new manager was going to come in was a very, very scary one. Into the conversation, of course, has to come Chelsea and Manchester United. So during that week between the Premier League finishing and the FA Cup final, the Chelsea job came up. And what's the Here We Go guy called? Fabrizio Romano said that conversations had happened between Ipswich and Chelsea, or McKenna's representatives and Chelsea as well, and then he'd been informed that that wasn't going to happen. And again, I wasn't there, I wasn't present for these conversations, but for those people who are going to put their tinfoil hats on and say, well, Chelsea wouldn't speak to a manager who's never managed in the Premier League and was in the Championship last season, well, it looks like they're going to hire a manager who's never been in the Premier League and was in the Championship last season, in Enzo Maresca. That is yet to be announced, but the smart money is that deal is very, very close to being done. With Manchester United, who the hell knows? That's the biggest job, the biggest club, and the biggest emotional link for Kieran McKenna, who worked at Manchester United as a coach under Jose Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Latterly part of that class, which has also seen Michael Carrick go to Middlesbrough and take them to the playoffs 2 seasons ago now as we go forward to 24-25. So, looks like it's all wrapped up, it's all done, and the story is Brighton and McKenna, whichever way around, however you want to see it. Again, I wasn't in the room, that hasn't happened for whatever reason. Chelsea are going to go with Enzo Maresca, and Manchester United, I don't know what they're going to do, but if Kieran McKenna is going to be the Manchester United manager one day, he might be, he might never be. He's certainly not going to be now, because I am damn sure that some assurances and timescale have been put in this new contract. I haven't read it, but why would you commit to the new contract and the pay rise if there weren't some kind of assurances? All the backroom team have now got contract extensions to 2028 as well. So, I'm not a lawyer, but I would imagine something has been put in terms of clauses, whether specific clubs are named or whether a timescale is named, to protect either the entirety of this season or as much as is humanly possible in terms of McKenna staying at Ipswich. And the job at Ipswich, of course, is to try and establish them as a Premier League club. Obviously, everyone will look at 2 seasons ago and they'll look at last season. 2 seasons ago, Fulham, Bournemouth and Forest came up. They all stayed up. They had very different routes at doing it, but they all did it. Last season, Burnley, Sheffield United and Luton came up and all immediately went down. I think everyone knows, with the cliff edges in English football, particularly in broadcast money, in between what you get in the Premier League, even what you get as a parachute team, but generally what you get in the EFL, you just got to stop up that first season, try and establish yourself and build, and that is going to be the job for Kieran McKenna. And I, for one, think Ipswich are far, far better having the manager that took them up starting the season than not, let's just say. Get your reactions in. Look, conspiracy theories ahoy, get them all in the comments as to what's happened here. Let's be honest, objective facts at the moment are the Brighton job is still open. The Chelsea job, as of 4:25 p.m. on Thursday, is still open, and Erik ten Hag is still the Manchester United manager. And the final objective fact I'm going to say here is Kieran McKenna has signed a new deal to be Ipswich Town manager until 2028. And long may it continue, say I. Let me know your views down there in the comments. And what the hell is going to happen next on the managerial merry-go-round? Kieran McKenna is not getting off his Suffolk Punch horse.